What about let's switch gears and talk about sports drinks. What's your philosophy on water versus a calorie drink, and what's your choice as a plant-based athlete who's very conscious about your nutrition?
Really, the only time that I found myself, especially last season, consuming a sports drink was during a race. During races where it was hot, you might be losing a lot of salt through sweat, and you needed to be replacing electrolytes, and your energy output was to the point where you needed to bring in as many calories as possible. So unfortunately, we really just relied on Gatorade because we could find it at the local grocery store. It was relatively inexpensive, and it was just easy.
I think there seems to be, I guess, in some circles. In some circles, there seems to be a stigma against Gatorade because they say, "Oh, Gatorade's super basic." Well, I guess it's old, it's outdated. There is some science to it. Mm-hmm. It does have some calories, it has some electrolytes, but they say that it's really hard on my stomach, and that this sports drink is better or that sports drink is better. Again, I think along the same lines as eat whatever food works with you. If Gatorade works with you, like it works for me, it does its job, and it's ubiquitous. If you train with Gatorade, and if you are like hundreds of miles away on a race, and you forgot to pack your Hammer or what's another sports drink that's super common out there?
Scratch Labs.
People love
that.
And that stuff I'm sure works great for a lot of people. But if you forgot that, and the only option is at a grocery store, it's either Powerade or Gatorade. And if you're not used to drinking that for training and racing, you don't know how that's going to act on your stomach. Yeah. So I guess my thing is, I think Gatorade works great.
Yeah.
And if you want to have the money, and if you're not going to forget your sports drink at a race, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I think just mix it up where it's fairly dilute. So that way, you're not just having this really rich, sugary drink just hitting your stomach, especially when you're going hard. It can be a lot for your stomach to handle, and even when you're eating goos and stuff, make sure you're drinking a lot of water along with it, so that way it kind of dilutes it out in your system. Because otherwise, if you wait until you're close to bonking in a race and you try to pound down 3 goos at a time, and then your stomach locks up and you wonder why. There was a reason for it.
Have you ever looked into making your own sports drinks? Because I've heard of people take orange juice and some salt, some table salt, and this and that. Have you looked into that at all?
I can't say I really have. It's been something I've thought about and kind of done some quick Google searches, but haven't really found anything that looked too appealing to me. But again, if someone has some suggestions on that, I would definitely be interested in trying it.
Definitely.